Imagine a holiday film so controversial that it caused a national uproar, flooding its network and writer with thousands of impassioned letters. A story that dared to challenge the audience with uncomfortable truths about morality, politics, and humanity's shared responsibilities, only to disappear into obscurity for nearly 50 years. In the same year Rod Serling concluded his groundbreaking work on the Twilight Zone, he crafted a bold reimagining of Dickens' A Christmas Carol. This was no ordinary Christmas tale. With his signature blend of sharp social critique and compelling storytelling, Serling transformed the classic story into a searing commentary on isolationism and societal neglect. Carol for Another Christmas was more than just a holiday special. It was a provocative cinematic statement that demanded its viewers reflect on their own values in a rapidly shifting world. Despite its star-studded cast and profound message, the film's bold critique of indifference ignited a storm of controversy upon its release, leaving it buried for decades, a forgotten masterpiece waiting to be rediscovered. In 1963, the political atmosphere in the United States was fraught with tension, particularly regarding the role of the United Nations. Many Americans viewed the UN with suspicion, accusing it of being a front for communist agendas and a push toward one-world government. This growing mistrust of international cooperation and the rise of isolationist sentiment deeply concerned UN leaders. Among them was Paul Hoffman, the managing director of Special Funds, who saw the need to change public perception and clarify the organization's true mission. Hoffman enlisted PR expert Edgar Rosenberg to develop a creative response, a series of televised specials to celebrate the UN's 20th anniversary and remind audiences of its commitment to global peace and unity. The concept was ambitious: 6 dramatic TV films, airing without commercials, crafted by top-tier talent willing to work for little to no financial gain. But bringing this vision to life proved challenging. Sponsorship was difficult to secure. Most companies hesitated to align with such a politically charged project. After much searching, Xerox agreed to fund the series, ensuring it would air free of commercial interruption. Finding a network was just as complicated. CBS and NBC declined, wary of the potential backlash. That left ABC as the sole platform willing to take on the project. The first film in the series needed to set a strong precedent, and Joseph Mankiewicz, the legendary director behind classics like All About Eve and Guys and Dolls, was tapped to helm the project. It would be his only foray into television. To craft the script, the UN turned to one of the most compelling voices in storytelling, Rod Serling. Known for his thought-provoking writing on the Twilight Zone, Serling had a talent for weaving moral dilemmas and societal critiques into captivating narratives. Serling's assignment was to adapt Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol for modern audiences, framing it around the themes of global cooperation and the dangers of isolationism. It was a natural fit for Serling, whose work often explored the consequences of humanity's choices and the importance of empathy. To bring his vision to life, an exceptional cast was assembled. Sterling Hayden, known for his commanding presence in films like Dr. Strangelove, was cast as the lead. Daniel Grudge, a bitter and reclusive industrialist. Joining him were Peter Sellers, fresh off his comedic triumphs, Eva Marie Saint, a celebrated actress from On the Waterfront, and Pat Hingle, a veteran performer with a knack for gravitas. This wasn't just a holiday special. It was a bold artistic statement. Serling and Mankiewicz sought to challenge viewers with a story that mirrored the anxieties of the era. Themes of war, neglect, and the interconnectedness of humanity were woven into the familiar structure of Dickens' tale, making it both timeless and deeply relevant to the social and political climate of the 1960s. But while the creative team poured their energy into the project, they couldn't have anticipated the storm it would unleash upon its release. Daniel Grudge is a man hardened by loss and disillusionment. Once a Navy commander, he now lives a solitary, embittered life as a wealthy industrialist. His bitterness stems from the death of his son Marley during World War II, a loss that has shaped his rigid belief in isolationism. Grudge uses his power and influence to push back against anything that he perceives as unnecessary international entanglement, from foreign wars to cultural exchange programs. When his idealistic nephew Fred visits on Christmas Eve, their opposing worldviews clash. Fred passionately argues for global cooperation, insisting that humanity's struggles are interconnected and that isolation only leads to more suffering. Grudge dismisses his nephew's idealism, preferring to stay insulated in his comfortable bubble of self-interest. After Fred leaves, the night takes an unexpected turn. Grudge is haunted by strange occurrences in his home. An old song playing seemingly out of nowhere, a fleeting reflection of his late son at the dinner table. Soon, the ghost of Christmas past appears, a brash and sardonic soldier who transports Grudge back in time. Their journey begins on a troop transport ship carrying the fallen soldiers of World War I. The ghost challenges Grudge's staunch belief in isolationism, pointing out how silence and indifference allow conflict to fester. Grudge pushes back, insisting that intervention only leads to greater suffering. But the ghost is unrelenting. Their conversation leads to a harrowing moment. The ship's doors open to reveal the devastation of Hiroshima. Here, Grudge is forced to confront a pivotal memory from his past. He watches his younger self argue with a military doctor over the necessity of dropping the atomic bomb. Grudge's cold, pragmatic reasoning, that it saved countless lives by ending the war, is countered by the doctor's empathy for the bomb's victims, particularly the children disfigured by the blast. In a rare moment of vulnerability, Grudge connects with a terrified young boy, but the ghost reminds him that this compassion was fleeting. Grudge's logical justifications crumble as he revisits the horror and human cost of the decisions he once defended. The journey continues with the arrival of the ghost of Christmas Present, a figure who embodies both the abundance and suffering of humanity. This spirit takes Grudge to a desolate refugee camp surrounded by darkness. The juxtaposition is stark. While Grudge has lived in comfort, these displaced individuals endure unimaginable hardships. The ghost forces Grudge to confront his apathy, pointing out that he never acknowledged their existence while enjoying his own privileges. As the camera pans over the haunting imagery of the camp, the ghost delivers a scathing indictment of humanity's neglect of those in need. Grudge is overwhelmed by the ghost's words, but the lesson becomes even more personal when he's presented with cold, hard statistics. Numbers that once justified his indifference now take on a crushing weight as he's forced to reckon with the real lives behind them. The scene crescendos with the refugees singing melancholy carols in their native languages, a stark reminder of shared humanity in the face of suffering. Grudge's composure breaks, and he lashes out at the ghost, desperate to escape the confrontation. But his flight only leads him deeper into the darkness, where he is met by the final spirit. The ghost of Christmas Future is an imposing, hooded figure who offers no comfort. This spirit unveils a terrifying vision of a world devastated by nuclear war. The ruins of a town hall serve as a grim backdrop for a society that has descended into chaos. Here, Grudge encounters Imperial Me, a charismatic yet unhinged leader played with unsettling brilliance by Peter Sellers. Imperial Me preaches the gospel of extreme individualism, where the word "we" is eradicated, and "I" reigns supreme. His followers, the Me people, are a mob consumed by selfishness and distrust, their humanity stripped away by their obsession with personal gain. Grudge watches in horror as the mob rejects any call for peace or cooperation, instead turning on each other in their quest for ultimate dominance. Even acts of kindness and sacrifice are met with violence and ridicule. When Grudge tries to intervene, he realizes he is powerless in this dystopian future. The ghost leaves him to witness the full collapse of civilization, a chilling reminder of what awaits if humanity continues down the path of division and neglect. Finally, Grudge awakens in his study, shaken but alive. It's Christmas Day, and the world he knows is still intact. The events of the night have transformed him. When Fred arrives, Grudge offers a heartfelt apology and admits he was wrong. He speaks of the hope and possibilities represented by children, expressing a newfound belief in the importance of compassion and involvement. The man who once dismissed global cooperation now sees it as essential to humanity's survival. In a quiet but profound gesture, Grudge joins his staff for breakfast, signaling the start of a new chapter in his life. Carol for Another Christmas ends not with grand declarations, but with a subtle, hopeful message. Change is possible, but it requires us to confront our own indifference and take responsibility for one another. Grudge's transformation serves as a reminder that even the most hardened hearts can be softened when faced with the truth of our shared humanity. At its core, Carol for Another Christmas delivers a powerful critique of isolationism, posing difficult but necessary questions about the responsibilities we bear as members of a global community. Rod Serling's script unflinchingly challenges the idea that we can thrive as individuals or as nations by turning inward and ignoring the struggles of others. Through the journey of Daniel Grudge, the film explores the devastating consequences of apathy, selfishness, and an unwillingness to engage with the world beyond our borders. It asks the viewer to consider, how can we, in good conscience, turn a blind eye to suffering that isn't in our immediate line of sight? And what price will we pay for this willful ignorance? The character of Grudge represents a mindset that, unfortunately, remains relevant today, a belief that personal or national interests outweigh the need for cooperation and compassion. His transformation throughout the film mirrors a journey that many individuals and societies must take, recognizing that our fates are interconnected and that the neglect of others ultimately diminishes us all. Serling doesn't simply advocate for charity or goodwill. He makes a case for active involvement, illustrating how indifference not only harms those in need, but erodes our own humanity in the process. The film's moral lessons are timeless, though they were born out of a very specific historical moment. In the early 1960s, the United Nations was under fierce scrutiny, and public debates about America's role in global affairs often veered into heated, polarized territory. These themes resonate just as strongly in today's fractured world, where nationalism and isolationist policies continue to rise, threatening the progress made toward international cooperation. Carol for Another Christmas argues that ignoring global problems, whether war, poverty, or displacement, doesn't make them go away. Instead, it allows them to grow unchecked until they inevitably reach our own doorstep. One of the film's most poignant messages is about the cost of neglecting our shared humanity. Each of the ghosts confronts Grudge with a different facet of this idea. The sacrifices made in the past to build a better future, the ongoing suffering of people displaced and forgotten in the present, and the bleak, shattered world that awaits if we refuse to take responsibility for one another. These warnings are not just directed at Grudge. They are a call to action for the audience. Serling doesn't offer easy solutions or a comforting conclusion. Instead, he urges viewers to look inward, to question their own choices and priorities, and to consider what kind of future they want to help create. The themes of unity and cooperation in Carol for Another Christmas feel particularly significant in the modern era. We live in a world that is more connected than ever, yet divisions, political, cultural, and economic, seem to grow deeper every day. The film's insistence on the necessity of dialogue and understanding between nations and individuals is a message that bears repeating. In an age where global challenges like climate change, refugee crises, and pandemics demand collective action, the lessons of this story are more urgent than ever. Serling's legacy as a storyteller was built on his ability to tackle big moral and ethical questions without losing sight of the human element. Whether through the Twilight Zone or projects like this film, he consistently used his platform to hold a mirror up to society, forcing us to confront uncomfortable truths. In Carol for Another Christmas, he pushes the audience to think beyond their immediate surroundings and to grapple with the broader implications of their beliefs and actions. This is not just a critique of Grudge's worldview, it's a challenge to everyone watching. The haunting imagery and unforgettable performances in the film reinforce its message in ways that words alone cannot. The desolation of Hiroshima, the faces of starving refugees, and the anarchic chaos of the future are all visual manifestations of what happens when we abandon empathy and cooperation. These scenes linger in the mind long after the credits roll, serving as a stark reminder of what's at stake. Yet, the film also leaves room for hope. Grudge's transformation, though difficult, underscores the idea that change is always possible. It suggests that while the road to understanding and compassion may be fraught with pain and self-reflection, it is a journey worth taking, for individuals and for humanity as a whole. In the end, Serling doesn't lecture. He provokes thought. His work challenges us to reconsider our priorities and to recognize the value of every human life, regardless of borders or circumstances. Carol for Another Christmas may have been created in response to a specific moment in history, but its lessons are timeless, a testament to Serling's belief in the power of storytelling to inspire change. It's a story that reminds us of a simple yet profound truth, that our strength lies not in isolation, but in our willingness to stand together. One of the most remarkable aspects of Carol for Another Christmas is its visual style, a haunting combination of light and shadow that perfectly complements its eerie and thought-provoking narrative. The film's cinematography doesn't just support the story, it actively elevates it, immersing the audience in a world that feels both real and otherworldly. From the dim, cold interior of Daniel Grudge's study to the surreal and unsettling landscapes of the ghostly visits, the film's use of lighting creates a stark contrast between comfort and chaos, past and future. The troop transport ship in The Ghost of Christmas Past sequence is a standout example. Bathed in fog and dim lighting, the ship is packed with the fallen soldiers of World War I, their silhouettes barely visible but deeply impactful. The setting feels oppressive, a visual representation of the weight of human conflict. Similarly, the barbed wire camp in The Ghost of Christmas Present segment is unforgettable. A black void surrounds the scene, with only the camp itself illuminated, forcing the audience to focus on the suffering and despair within. This stark visual approach enhances the emotional weight of the story, leaving viewers with images that linger long after the film ends. Behind the scenes, Carol for Another Christmas had its share of intriguing production choices and challenges. The cast is one of the most notable aspects, featuring a mix of seasoned stars and unexpected performers. Sterling Hayden, known for his commanding roles in films like Dr. Strangelove, delivers a complex and brooding performance as Daniel Grudge, perfectly capturing the character's internal struggle. Peter Sellers, in a rare television appearance, steals the show as the flamboyant and chilling Imperial Me, embodying the dangers of unchecked individualism with an unsettling charisma. Interestingly, the original script called for the lead character to be named Benjamin Grudge, a deliberate play on words that highlighted his bitter and resentful nature. However, ABC requested the change, likely fearing that the name might draw unintentional parallels to political figures of the time. While small, this adjustment is just one example of how the network worked to soften some of the film's more provocative elements, reflecting the tightrope Serling had to walk in addressing such controversial themes on national television. The film's release was met with significant backlash, particularly from anti-UN groups who viewed it as propaganda for a globalist agenda. ABC and Xerox, the film's sponsor, received thousands of letters accusing them of promoting communist ideologies and undermining American values. Serling himself became a target of criticism, with many accusing him of using the film as a platform for his own political beliefs. Despite the uproar, Serling stood by his work, often responding directly to critics in an effort to engage with their concerns. He approached the backlash not as a deterrent, but as an opportunity to spark dialogue, further cementing his reputation as a writer, unafraid to tackle challenging topics. Critical reception at the time was mixed. Some praised the film for its bold storytelling and moral depth, while others found its messaging heavy-handed and its tone overly somber for a holiday special. The controversy surrounding its themes likely contributed to its limited initial impact, and the film quickly faded into obscurity after its original broadcast. For decades, Carol for Another Christmas was considered a lost piece of television history, its legacy confined to academic archives and the memories of those who had seen it during its original airing. It wasn't until 2012 that the film was rediscovered, thanks to a broadcast on Turner Classic Movies. This reintroduction to modern audiences reignited interest in the film, with many viewers and critics reassessing its significance and praising its relevance to contemporary issues. The film's restoration for streaming and home media has allowed a new generation to experience its powerful visuals and thought-provoking themes. While it may have been overshadowed by the controversy of its time, Carol for Another Christmas now stands as a fascinating example of Rod Serling's unwavering commitment to storytelling that challenges, provokes, and inspires. Its rediscovery is a testament to the enduring power of art to spark conversations about the most pressing issues of any era. Carol for Another Christmas stands apart as a bold and thought-provoking entry in the vast array of A Christmas Carol adaptations. Its blend of moral urgency, chilling visuals, and Rod Serling's signature storytelling style elevates it from a mere holiday special to a profound reflection on humanity's shared responsibilities. Where most versions of Dickens' classic focus on personal redemption, this film expands the scope, asking what redemption looks like on a societal and global level. It's a sobering yet hopeful reminder of the potential for change, both in individuals and in the world at large. For fans of Serling's work, this film is an essential watch. It offers a glimpse into his ability to take familiar narratives and imbue them with fresh meaning, creating stories that resonate across decades. In Carol for Another Christmas, Serling doesn't just retell a classic tale. He reimagines it, using its framework to address the pressing issues of his time, many of which remain relevant today. Whether you're a devotee of the Twilight Zone or someone who appreciates storytelling that challenges and inspires, this film is a rediscovered gem worth exploring. If you haven't yet had the chance, the restored version of Carol for Another Christmas is now accessible on platforms like Max and YouTube. The high-definition restoration not only showcases its stunning visuals, but also breathes new life into a film that was nearly forgotten. Watching it today, with the benefit of historical context and modern perspective, adds a layer of depth to its already powerful themes. And here's a fun thought to leave you with. Imagine if Carol for Another Christmas had been condensed into a half-hour episode of The Twilight Zone. How might Serling's signature narration frame Grudge's transformation? What eerie, unforgettable twist could have punctuated the story? The very idea sparks the kind of creative speculation that Serling himself would have relished. Ultimately, Carol for Another Christmas is more than just a holiday film. It's a call to reflect on the choices we make, the values we uphold, and the responsibilities we bear toward one another. By revisiting this lost masterpiece, we not only honor Serling's legacy, but also reignite a conversation about the timeless importance of empathy, cooperation, and the hope for a better future.